open it to any questions that anybody has. We're happy to answer. Yes, sir. Yes. 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 Thank you. Correct. It's here. Yes. 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 Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's happening here? Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much. David, would you mind turning up the house lights just a little bit? So I feel like, I know I'm not getting a suntan, but it feels that way at the moment. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. I can tell you that Steve over at KMOG actually just yesterday called and asked us to come on to really talk about a budget continuation and what that means and share some of the information we've shared in these last two presentations, along with, I know Mr. Jeff Simon is here as well, about the A+ School of Excellence Award. And so I think it's on the calendar for next Tuesday. I appreciate you sharing those comments. Misinformation, as we all know, can be very damaging, right? It gets people very excited in the positive and or the negative. And so great English teachers, and I know we have some in the room, the piece of researching what is not your opinion versus what is your opinion, because we can always find things that support our side, but what is out there that contradicts or is against our side, so to speak, or our view, and weighing that information truly objectively. We're human beings. We can be very biased in lots of ways. And how do we help our kids learn how to do strong research to understand both sides, or what is the real story? I can tell you we do not have critical race. I can tell you that within our most recent adoption, within even in history, that information, those resources, our curriculum is open to the public. It is posted on our website. We're happy to sit down and go through you page by page if that's what it takes somebody to dismiss those negative connotations. I know I was probably last year here, not talking about the override per se. It was at a meeting where an individual was running for legislation, and he was talking about our community. However, he was very ill-informed about the Payson community. And what I mean by that is things that he was saying about Payson Unified School District. And I know my husband always tells me, he's like, just keep your mouth shut. And I'm like, I can't. And very respectfully, I shared with the gentleman, I said, I commend you on your efforts to run for office, but I do caution you to learn your communities when you come to speak of them. Please don't make assumptions about them, because often what a person may share is not what's accurate with the people within it. And he very graciously took that into consideration, and talking about our school board as well as our school system here in Payson. I can't speak for everybody out there, but I think public education as a whole is doing a darn good job with the funds that they have to raise very prominent citizens in society, from the bottom to the top. So I appreciate you saying that, and yes, we will continue to do work to try to dismiss the information that is inaccurate by all means. Yes, Leslie. Yes, yes. It is not, no, those are not funded through the override. We do K-12 after-school programs, from tutoring to bells to choir, Girls on the Run program, all kinds of different programs, and I'm certainly not addressing each of those, but no, those are funded in other capacities. Yes, thank you. Any other questions I can answer? I know it's a little warm in here. We didn't have heat in the winter because that was broken, but we got it fixed. Now our AC is not so great in here, but we're working on it because we're going to have a full house with TCC concert not long from now, I'm sure. Any other questions we can answer for you? This is like the 10-second wait in your head. We actually count, if you ever have. It's longer than you think. Right. Yes, sir. Thank you. You're talking about title grants is what you're referring to. Actually, I just spoke today. We had 2 representatives from Governor Hobbs' office and in my office, Kathy and I sat with. And Kathy, you're welcome to chime in on this as well. The question that they were asking us is what are our achievements, or we are proud of, or successes, and where do we see challenges? And that will be a very definite challenge if our title funds do decrease. We have a large percentage of our student population that are free and reduced. When I say free and reduced, they qualify for free and reduced lunch program, which is the biggest or is the marker for qualifying for title grants. Within that, and Kathy, you can join me on this because she's going to be more specific, I know it, and better at it. With that is that it can affect positions, it can affect programs, it can affect education for our teachers in terms of professional development, if that actually falls in that capacity.
Sure. Just a little clarification on what this gentleman has brought up. Thank you. The state is actually allocating approximately 80% of our current year title grants for next year. We receive a pre-allocation, and then we get a second allocation for the total amount of the grant. So at the state level, they're being cautious so they don't give us a budget that's going to be larger than we actually receive or than the state receives from the federal government. So based on Arizona's students, the poverty rate has decreased by about 6.5%. So they're anticipating that as a state, we will receive less title funding next year. So this is just a cautious effort for them to make sure we're not going to get a decrease in the second allocation.
With that, we'll close for the evening and appreciate those questions, and please continue to ask. I just want to share something with you that I found that I think ties about schools and community together. This particular poem is from Ray Lingenfelter, and it's called Unity. I dreamed I stood in a studio and watched the sculptures there. The clay they used was a young child's mind, and they fashioned it with care. Some were teachers, and the tools they used were books and music and art. The others were a community with guided hands and gentle, loving hearts. And when at last their work was done, they were proud of what they had wrought. For the things they had worked into the child could never be sold or bought. After each agreed, they would have failed if they had worked alone. From behind the community stood the school, and behind the teachers stood the town. Thank you for coming this evening. Appreciate your time and your efforts.